Hello, everybody. So, I'm here with a pretty interesting video today. I found this video of these people talking about astrology. Now, there's a guy saying that the guy narrating, he says astrology is ridiculous and he doesn't believe in it. And he's criticizing this woman who is using astrology in the wrong way. So technically, both of these people are wrong, and I thought it was really interesting for me to come here and react to this so I can actually explain in detail, in a little more detail, of what this actually is. So, I'll try to keep it more simple, and I'll try to throw in a little bit more like sciency type stuff rather than like a belief system, because astrology and spirituality, it can be explained with like science. It's not really just a belief system. It can be explained with real science. So let's take a look at this and we'll start getting into it.
And I love her, but she's only 2.5. So now my daughter's a Gemini, and I love her, but she's only 2.5. And I do worry that I'm not gonna vibe with her.
So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest astrology guy out there. No offense to anyone who is, but I just don't believe in it. I don't believe that the time and place and date you were born is going to determine your personality and who you get along with and what you should do, among a bunch of other things. Obviously, as long as you're not harming anyone, you could believe in what you want to believe in, and astrology isn't the most harmful thing in the world at the end of the day.
Okay, so again, he says that astrology is going to be some type of belief system, but after the end of this video, you're going to see why we don't believe in astrology. We know astrology, okay? And it's a pretty long, complicated explanation that maybe the average person doesn't understand because they don't really teach this in school. They don't really have like classes on this, but a bunch of like independent workers, like a bunch of independent people on the internet, they put a lot of time and a lot of research and a lot of science into this, and they have figured out really amazing things that are not available in public schools or anything like that. It's more of like a hidden knowledge type of thing, okay? Um, so yeah, we'll get to the end of the video and we'll go more on it.
But with that said, from what I've witnessed firsthand in person, and from what I've also heard from people I know, astrology could definitely turn into a very unhealthy obsession that seeps into every aspect of your life, which I guess that also applies to every other faith as well, for sure. And today we're going to be taking a look at a perfect example.
Okay, so astrology being an unhealthy obsession. So, yeah, there's a lot of mentally ill people out there who will try to take things too far in regards to any subject. That's why I'm here teaching people how to properly manage it and to properly use it as a tool and as a wise counsel, some type of guidance, rather than some type of problem.
Example of this: a mom who seems to have a big problem with her child, her baby, and that is her baby's zodiac sign.
So when I was pregnant, my daughter's due date was May 21st, and that's that's a Gemini, but it's very close to not being a Gemini. And so I asked my doctor if I could get induced early so that my daughter would not have to live as a Gemini.
Okay, so May 21st, that's gonna be like pretty close to being Taurus, so they still will have Taurus energies if, if that's what she was looking for. So it's really not a big deal. I don't know why she's making this such a big deal. And plus, if you actually understood astrology like more professional, like I would, this wouldn't be really a problem if you think that your child zodiac sign does not get along with you, because if you actually knew what you were doing, such as myself, and I'll teach you how to do it, you will be able to understand and be able to manage any of the zodiac signs and live in harmony with them, regardless of your own sign. Also, when you properly open your third eye and you actually understand the real spiritual practice, you can still embody all of the signs. You'll be able to manage them in a proper way. So, this would not be a problem at all. And there's no reason for her to actually be doing any of this.
I love how this was her biggest concern. Never mind giving birth to a healthy baby, taking your time, taking it easy, and hoping the pregnancy goes smoothly. Nah, fuck all that. I refuse to let my baby be born a Gemini. She looked at the charts, I guess, and the compatibility with her zodiac's just not there.
Okay, also, the thing is with the zodiac signs, in this situation, in the video, everybody is just thinking about your sun zodiac sign. So the day that you're born during the year, but they don't understand that astrology has all of the planets. So all of the planets can embody a certain zodiac sign. So I'll use myself for an example. I'm a Gemini sun, right? But with the year that I was born and the place I was born, you also have a moon zodiac sign, a Mercury, a Mars. So my moon is going to be Scorpio. That's a position of the moon when you're born. And then I also have a Gemini Mercury, I have a Libra Mars, a Cancer Venus, right? So each of the planets have its own sign depending on the year that you're born as well. So the fact that she's so worried about the sun sign and not considering the possibility that down the way, all the way to Pluto, from every planet to Pluto, that there are other aspects of her chart that you can't actually get along with. It's not only about your sun sign, you have the moon sign, you have Mercury, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, things like that. And so, yeah, those could be completely different signs depending on what year, what location that you're born in. So, there's plenty of other areas where you can get along with someone and not just your sun sign.
See, this is the point where the astrologers start looking like a lunatic.
If I could get induced early.
Inducing labor early, all for a star sign that won't do a single thing for your child. Which, if you don't know what an early induction is, it's basically when doctors make it so you give birth as quickly as possible, maybe even prematurely. They give you medication, they apply medical methods. Also, the person giving birth goes into labor as soon as possible.
Okay, so involving, a proper spiritual practice, you should never tamper with a natural birth, right? When you do the proper spiritual practice, because spirituality involves astrology, it involves chakra, it involves your body, right? So you're not supposed to be tampering with a natural birth. You're supposed to have the most natural birth as you possibly can, which that's going to be real spirituality. So the fact that she's trying to control it, not a good idea. I would agree with that.
And it's usually done in emergency situations where the baby or mother's health is at risk. Not really for astrology reasons.
Very close to not being a Gemini. And so I asked my doctor if I could get induced early so that my daughter would not have.
Yeah, so even if, okay, so May 21st is going to be the cusp. So what a cusp actually is, that's going to be the 7 days before and after a zodiac sign wants to change or is changing. And you will still have residual energies of the past sign. So May 21st is the first day of Gemini, so they're still going to have lots of Taurus aspects, so there's really nothing to be worried about if that's what she wanted. So she still has residual energies from Taurus. It's still going to carry over into Gemini for the first week of Gemini, that you're still a little bit Taurus, but you're still Gemini. So it's kind of like the both signs at the same time, right? They don't just like click on and off, they kind of gradually move into each other and blend together.
Have to live as a Gemini. And she said that that wasn't a valid enough reason to get induced early.
Yeah, no fucking shit that wasn't a valid reason. I mean, I can't believe the team of doctors aren't on the astrology bandwagon. It's funny how disappointed and defeated she looks as well. Like, how could this be that these doctors would let my baby be born a Gemini? How could they? Don't they know that Geminis don't match with my star sign? Now my child's not gonna like me. Meanwhile, inducing labor early has some pretty serious risks, not only for you, but also your newborn baby as well. Risks like infection, low fetal heart rate, a bunch of stuff. I'm just hoping that this child turns out all right mentally while it's being raised by this person, but I don't know. Risking your child's life.
No, yeah, like I said earlier, you should always have the most natural pregnancy possible. Even if you are spiritual, even if you do care about astrology, natural is always going to be the way. Don't try to tamper with it at all, right? Okay.
For astrology, unreal. But I can't say I'm surprised.
The Gemini. And she said that that wasn't a valid enough reason to get induced early. So now my daughter's a Gemini, and I love her, but she's only 2.5, and I do worry that I'm not gonna vibe with her.
No, like I said earlier, the zodiac signs don't change immediately like an on and off switch. She still has residual energies from Taurus, which is what the mother wanted. So, yeah, when you change zodiac signs, it gradually merges into each other. So basically, she has both signs during that time period. So, yeah, obviously, this woman is not very well educated in the subject. Um, so, this is why I'm here teaching people. This is why I tell people how to do this properly so they don't come out in public, come out on social media looking a little bit crazy or like not knowing what they're talking about, you know? I'm just trying to avoid people going out there being crazy people and actually using astrology and using this as a tool and a good guidance and not just like something that you need to be like super crazy about, right?
All right, so luckily this baby sounds like it was born healthy, but imagine being this child all grown up and seeing your mom talking like this. How you're not gonna vibe with your child because of the day and time you were born on. Like,
No, she
that is
needs mental
fucking
health.
insane. Your personality is not predetermined by your star sign. What you do or are gonna do isn't predetermined either.
Okay, so what the guy is saying now is that your personality does not relate to your star sign. And this is where things get a little bit more complicated, okay? So, again, the general public does not have a real education in the subject, so this is what they think. This is what the general public will think about astrology, and they don't understand how this works at all. So, how would the planets, this is a really good question. Now, how is it possible that the planets are able to influence your personality? And this has to do with your feelings, right? Your feelings will influence your personality. Now, how do feelings work? With frequencies here. Here we go. So each of your feelings have a frequency, right? So guilt and shame are at about 20 hertz, while peace is like 600 hertz, right? So each of these feelings have a frequency. Feelings lead to thoughts, then lead on to actions. Now, what does this have to do with the planets? The planets have their own frequency. So Mercury is at 141 hertz, Venus is 221 hertz, and so on and so forth, right? So when you are brought into this world and you take your very first breath, this frequency is basically a setting that you take with you during your life. When you start, when you first gain consciousness. I hope that made sense to people. I know this probably doesn't make a lot of sense to people, but it's basically just like some type of setting. For simplicity reasons, it's like a settings. You go into your settings, you set it to a certain frequency, and that's how you're going to be. Each of the zodiac signs have their own frequency. So let's look at Gemini at 639 hertz, promotes clear communication and encourages forgiveness. So each of these frequencies work on like again, like I said, this is very hard to explain. I'm trying to keep it simple, but again, these frequencies have different feelings. And each of the zodiac signs this is also has to do with your chakras. This also has to do with, elementals and things like that. This is so hard to explain. I'm sorry. But I hope this is making any type of sense. So man, I'm trying to like make it really simple. But yeah, humans do respond to frequencies. Your cells respond to frequencies. Feelings are frequencies. Zodiac signs are frequencies. Planets have frequencies that travel through space, and you can feel it on Earth. The same way as like Wi-Fi and cellular towers, it's all like a frequency. Feelings are frequencies. So if you were to like look up a frequency, you would be able to feel it, and it promotes like certain types of things. Now, how does a frequency promote certain types of feelings? Well, it's pretty similar to the way that plants respond to frequencies. So if you give a plant 1,000 hertz, stimulates photosynthesis and nutrient uptake. So each of these frequencies, there's different frequencies. 125 hertz stimulates germination. 250 frequencies promotes stem and leaf elongation, and all these other things, right? So frequencies work on a cellular level. Cells and atoms also have their own particular frequencies. It kind of like has to do with, in a simpler term, that the way that your cell grows can respond to frequencies, or frequencies will influence the way that your cells grow in a certain way. So if you give it 8,000 hertz, enhances flowering and fruiting. So basically you're using a frequency to tell the cell how to grow. And the same thing happens with humans, because humans also have cells and also have atoms. Atoms vibrate, right? If you remember way back when you were a kid and they were in class telling you that cells have vibrations, cells vibrate. Even solids, they still have a vibration, right? So I hope that was clearing everything up for people. I hope that made sense. So yes, the planets do embody a frequency, and if the planet, so say my Jupiter is in Aries, it's going to have 183.58 hertz plus 285 hertz at the same time. It can be in the two different frequencies at the same time. It's just emitting both of them at the same time. It's like layering on top of each other. And so a human will feel that. And you can try this experiment out for yourself. You can look up on YouTube a video of 600 hertz frequency, 700 hertz frequency, and you can listen to it, and you'll be able to feel the emotions that it brings up when you listen to that type of frequency. But it's not really like a sound. It's more like, well, the sound is very useful as a guide, but it kind of works in the same, when it comes to the planets, it works in the same way as like a cellular tower. a cellular tower. So, yes, of course, frequency is a feeling that leads to thought, that leads to actions. And this was pretty interesting, right? Yeah, Libra is associated with Venus, the planet of love, and 528 hertz is the love frequency for balance and anxiety relief, right? So there have been extensive studies on this. There's plenty of people out there on the internet that you can look at yourself that have been researching. They probably have expensive machines for this. They probably do. I've seen a few people with expensive machines on the internet. I can't afford that, but they've definitely been sitting here and proving every little bit of it. Okay. Oh, right, Capricorn. 396 hertz, which is going to be, you know, uh, yeah, this is crazy. All the zodiac signs are associated with an element, which is like earth. The earth chakra is the red chakra. And this, that's Capricorn, earth sign with the red chakra. That's going to be releases guilt and fear, gives energy to achieving goals. So, red chakra is your survival mechanism. Yeah, I hope that made sense without me like wasting everybody's time.
Who you get along with isn't determined. All of that.
Well, yes, it is. Okay, yeah. So, anyways, that's how you understand how the planets affect humans by putting you in a frequency, and feelings have frequencies. Feelings lead to thoughts, lead to actions. And if your frequency is set when you were born, you might match up with a certain type of other frequency that just feels better on a frequential level to your cells.
Can be controlled. This is a crazy idea, but how about raising your child to be a decent person and getting along with them and being a good mom, rather than seeing them through the lens of a zodiac sign? Because the priorities are not in order here, and I.
Okay, so this is kind of interesting too. So the thing is with this, raising your child to be the best they can be. Okay, so each of the zodiac signs have like positive traits and negative traits, right? You have the higher frequencies, you have the lower frequencies of each of the zodiac signs. To put it simply, um, each of the signs have good and bad traits. So I mean, like, yeah, you could focus on using the positive traits of your zodiac sign and avoiding the negative traits. So, say for example, I'm a Gemini, and I should focus on being very affectionate. I should focus on learning as much as I can, learning quickly, and I should be avoiding being nervous, because being nervous is like one of the negative traits of being a Gemini. So I should avoid being nervous. I should avoid being inconsistent, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I guess he's kind of right on that one.
Hope everything turns out all right for this child.
But she's only 2.5, and I do worry that I'm not going to vibe with her. And that's just something I have to live with every day. So it's the doctor's fault when children are born Geminis.
I'm pretty sure I've told this story on an old video
Mm-mm.
in the past, but I remember hearing this conversation years ago with my old classmates about astrology. And it was a girl who recently started seeing this guy, but was having second thoughts about dating him because of his zodiac sign. It was like this huge deal breaker that was completely unacceptable to her.
Okay, so again, in this situation, these people are probably talking about only your sun sign, even though you have a moon sign, you have a Mercury, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and things of that nature. Yeah, my Jupiter is in Aries, even though my sun zodiac sign is going to be Gemini, right? But my Jupiter is in Aries. So there's plenty of other things that you could be looking at when you're dating other people. It's not just about your sun sign, because even if your sun sign is incompatible, you can look further down the line and look at other aspects on where you would be getting along.
And I was at the table hearing this, just soaking it all in. But long story short, her and her friend concluded that she was going to cut things off with that guy. The star sign incompatibility was just too much, I guess. And I gotta say, he dodged a fucking bullet because holy shit, imagine dating someone that obsessed with something completely out of their control. In
Hmm. You know, I do like I am one I'm not like obsessed, but I do care a little bit, you know. Of course, I'm more of a professional astrologer or spiritualist. So, yes, I do know how to manage it. If I really liked someone, I'd probably focus on the other planets in their chart to see where we actually get along. Um it doesn't have to be like completely compatible, but there probably if you like this person, it's not just going to be about your sun sign. There's probably plenty of other aspects further in your chart that actually do make you like them. So that's where we really need to look out right there.
life, I mean, that's almost like a mental illness. Having something as random as a birthday and time dictate how you view people and your relationships with them. Not to mention control your actions and implant ideas of what your personality should be. And I'm not surprised, every
You know, yeah, people like him, they think that astrology is going to be like a form of control and that you don't have a personality of your own. I hear this argument all of the time that you don't have a personality of your own and you're just like following something made up, which is not true. Again, we saw the frequencies and how frequencies are connected with your feelings. Feelings lead to thoughts, lead to actions. So, um, yeah, like different types of frequencies. It's not a form of control, but more of like guidance and like a tool that you can use for a general idea. So I do my meditation, I do this and that and whatever. It's more of like a suggestion. Let's just say it's like a pretty good suggestion. Like you can still do whatever you want. You don't have to be that strict with it, or you can use other aspects in your chart. But, it's a pretty good guide. It's a pretty good suggestion. If you understand how to use frequencies correctly and you understand how to use your feelings correctly, then it's like a pretty good little guide that you have. It's like a wise counsel, it's a tool, it's a positive suggestion, but unfortunately, a lot of people these days are very mentally ill and they don't understand how to discern things very well. They need to use like proper discernment when it comes to these things and have like some type of self regulation. But yeah,
everybody wants.
that was basically it. Um, he says astrology, what it does, it boxes you off. It's not really a boxing off. It's not control. It's not limitations. It's basically just like a general guide. It's a general guide that can help point you in the right direction or suggest some things that you may enjoy, but it's not like some type of cage that you have to be stuck in, because life really is what you want it to be. But I do like a good suggestion here and there. Like, say, for example, my friend is like, oh, you'll probably like this recipe, you should try to cook it. And you try it, you like the recipe, and you're like, you know what? That was a good recipe. All right. So I hope that made sense. I hope that made any type of sense. Thank you.